This secret agenda for conflict has been exposed. It's a total failure. Let's break it down.
But what I've seen over these months is that every time they make progress and they move closer and closer to that hope for peace, the warmongers in the deep state step up and try to do everything they can to stop them. Predictably, they use the same old tactics that they've always used. The deep state within the intelligence community weaponizes intelligence to try to undermine progress. They leak it to their friends in the mainstream propaganda media to try to spread this and push a false narrative. They foment fear and hysteria as a way to justify the continuing of the war and their efforts to undermine President Trump's efforts towards peace, and do so specifically in this case in order to try to pull the U.S. military into a direct conflict with Russia, which is ultimately what the EU and NATO want. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to see clearly what's happening before our very eyes and stand united in this cause of peace.
While the Beltway babbles, the Trump team is moving at a speed that's frankly making the old guard's heads spin. Down in Miami, envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have cut through the red tape and opened a direct line straight to the Kremlin. They're bypassing the same tired diplomatic channels that have failed us for decades. The goal? A real, lasting end to the meat grinder in Ukraine. We're hearing about a massive 28-point plan currently under the microscope, a framework that finally stops ignoring the ugly realities on the ground. Trump's inner circle is pushing for a high-stakes Miami summit to force a breakthrough before the clock strikes midnight on the new year. But don't think for a second that the people who've spent years profiting from this war are going to let it go quietly. This is an aggressive diplomatic strike, and the establishment is terrified because they know a businessman's pragmatism might actually work where their bureaucracy has failed for generations. But don't pop the champagne yet. While Washington is grinding for a deal, the bureaucrats in Brussels and NATO's ivory towers in The Hague are already building a wall. We're seeing a massive pushback from leaders like Kaja Kallas and Mark Rutte, who are dripping with skepticism. They're making demands, insisting on the return of miners, and barking that no deal happens without their stamp of approval. NATO's new leadership has basically pivoted to a permanent wartime footing, even suggesting member states jack up their defense spending to a staggering 5% of GDP to handle future threats. This is a massive rift, folks. You've got the U.S. trying to find the exit door, while Europe demands we keep the engine running. The EU is even looking at massive financial games to keep the fire burning, even as we signal that it's time to dismantle the whole ideology of endless expansion. The European Council is terrified of being left in the dust, while D.C. and Moscow talk shop, and they're willing to bet the future of the entire alliance just to stay relevant. The real bombshell, though, isn't coming from overseas. It's coming from right inside our own house. Tulsi Gabbard, now leading the charge as the Director of National Intelligence, just dropped a massive warning. She's calling out the enemy within, alleging that deep state operatives are using dirty media tricks and illegal leaks to blow up Trump's peace deals before they even get off the ground. According to Gabbard, these people are intentionally handing over sensitive notes to their friends in the propaganda media just to paint a picture of failure. Think about that. We have unelected officials who think they're above the law and the Constitution, working actively to undermine the guy you actually voted for. Gabbard isn't just guessing. She's sitting on a mountain of evidence showing how these agencies have been weaponized for politics. Word on the street is a massive house cleaning is coming, because you can't have a government that's trying to sabotage its own commander-in-chief. It turns out the biggest threat to peace isn't in some foreign capital. It's sitting right there in the halls of power in D.C. As we hit the end of 2025, the American people have had enough. They're demanding their sovereignty back. You can feel it in the heartland, a total rejection of the interventionist garbage that's bled this country dry for years. People are tired of being on the hook for foreign bills that do absolutely nothing for the average American family. The data is clear. More and more of you are asking why we're still footing the bill for NATO when our allies won't even secure their own backyard. As Trump heads into that Miami summit, he's carrying the weight of a nation that's exhausted by permanent war. He's hunting for a peace that's actually sustainable, not just another Band-Aid from the failed establishment. The silent majority isn't silent anymore. They're standing tall behind a leadership that puts America first, no matter how loud the global elites scream. This is the final reckoning, and the outcome will define where this country goes for the next 50 years.
This report is complete, but the fight is just beginning. Subscribe now to stand with us.